The first bizarre style rule that a lot of men blindly follow: wearing their watch on the left-hand side. I mean, seriously, you've got another wrist, why not wear it over here? As it turns out, there's some pretty practical reasons why most men wear watches on the left wrist. First up, the majority of the world, me included, we're right-handed. Therefore, it's easier to set the time to set your watch because the crown is over on the right side. If the crown was on the other side of the watch, we'd have to take the watch off to set the time to wind the watch. So right here, this is a lot easier, and that made a lot of sense when most watches had to be wound daily. Seriously, this goes back almost 100 years to the pocket watch. The pocket watch was amazing, except you had to pull it out of your pocket. During World War I, officers started attaching pocket watches to their wrists on their jackets. And they found, hey, we need to be able to wind this thing, make it easy. We wanted to make it practical. And speaking of practicality, since most of us are right-handed, we're more dominant with our right hand. We're going to be writing. We're going to be doing more actions with our right hand, controlling things. And guess what? If you have a watch over here, you're more likely to scratch it. This was a big deal when watches were a lot more expensive and they actually didn't have those faces that are sapphire, are going to be anti-scratch. So it was very easy to scratch the face of the watch, and you wanted to better protect them. So you put them on the hand that you use less often. Another practical reason the watch is on the left hand, it's simply easier to spot the time. Because if your right hand is busy, let's say you're playing tennis, you got that tennis racket going back and forth, guys, you can flip up the wrist without breaking your game. You can quickly tell the time. And speaking of swinging the hand, you want to protect the watch, because if you're using a tennis racket or you're just swinging a hammer and you have your watch on that side, you can actually damage the watch. So again, having it on your non-dominant hand is sometimes a really good thing. Now, there are some brands out there that have watches made to be worn on the right wrist for left-handers. I know Tudor, their Pelagos line, their dive line, basically, they've got a watch that's made to be worn on the right wrist, so you've got the crown over on the left-hand side. You're also going to see some watches that are kind of a hybrid. Right here is the classic Monaco Caliber 12. What's interesting about this one, if you go back, a lot of people say that they made it for Steve McQueen to be worn on the right wrist because he was left-handed, but there was actually just a stylistic feature of the design of the watch when they were putting it all together. They just found, because they had the pushers over here on the right, they just couldn't get it engineered to set it up, so they put the crown over on the left. It ended up being a great style choice, became a classic piece that many collectors like myself want to own and do on. Now, gents, there's really no rule that says you can't wear a watch on your right hand. So if you really want to, go for it. I know some guys choose because the location of the crown, especially if it's one that protrudes, they simply don't want it digging into their wrist. So it works better on the right hand. Next up, let's talk button placement. So we see this on both shirts and jackets. Buttons are on the right side while the buttonholes are on the left side. This seems pretty normal until you look at women's wear, and it's the complete opposite. Now, some historians have tried to explain this by saying it's all about weapon access. Your clothing had to function. You had to be able to reach your hand over, get right underneath the clothing, and be able to pull out a sword or a firearm. So this now begs the question, why do we have the opposite for women? Well, one of the historic explanations is all about babies. So the idea that women would hold their child with their left hand, they would be able to unbutton their blouse with their right hand to be able to breastfeed. Another popular theory is because of the time that this was coming about during industrialization, you still saw a number of high-class women being dressed by servants. So the placement of the buttons was for their ease to be able to button and unbutton their clothing. Now, all that being said, me personally, I think it's a practicality reason. When you have a bunch of kids, you know what I'm talking about. You can't sort the laundry. Whose is whose, especially when your daughter's your son, everything is about the same. Now, it helps when one kid's into Transformers, the other one's into Barbie, but back, 100 years, they were all wearing these white shirts. So guess what? The placement of the buttons made it very easy to determine which one is Susie's and which one is Mike's. Next up, gents, let's talk about the gig line. So the gig line is an imaginary straight line that runs up and down the front center of the torso, formed by the alignment of the shirt, belt buckle, and trouser fly. So where does this rule come from? Where did we first see the term? In the United States Navy. This was actually part of ship inspection. And basically, if you did not have this all lined up, you were given a gig, which is basically a derogatory mark. Oh, and really quick, I wanted to thank Gus for this leather jacket. He made it for me down in Mexico. Gus was actually an attendee at my Menfluential this last year. And Gus, thank you so much. It fits and feels beautiful. And guys, if you like the look of this jacket, you want to learn more, check out Gus's website. I'm going to put a link to it down in the description. If you're looking for something that's not too hot and really it's just going to build up the shoulders and make you look amazing. Next up, let's talk about buttoning rules for modern suit jackets and sports jacket. The bottom button. Why do we never button it? Whenever you stand, why do you need your jacket buttoned? Whenever you sit, why should you have your jacket unbuttoned? It turns out these rules are a bit of practicality and more just simply tradition. So when we look at the design of modern jackets, they're not actually made to button that bottom button. This is left over from some English king who was a little bit too fat, and basically he did not button it. This trend took off. But nowadays, with the design of the clothing, it does not look good when you button that bottom button. Now, what about the top button? What about that middle button on a 3 button? Why would you button that when you stand? Because you do look better. It basically brings the outfit together and it allows the eye to go up and down. Now, why would you want to unbutton when you seat? Simply, again, practicality. It's going to be more comfortable. Your stomach area expands a bit when you sit, so you want to give yourself a little bit more breathing room. Next up, let's talk shirt color. So the blue like this is considered casual. White is considered formal. But why? Who created this rule? Where did it come from? So first up, white has for a long time been considered the color of the higher class. Why? Because you were able to keep it clean. The only people that could afford white were people that did not have to work with their hands. People that didn't have to get into the mud. They didn't have to get down and get dirty. Blue, on the other hand, was an inexpensive dye. Indigo was basically, this has been used for centuries, but it was in 1924 in Iowa in a newspaper in which it was mentioned basically blue collar. This referred to a type of boiler outfit that men could wear when they're out working, sweating, getting oil and grime, because blue, especially darker blue, did a great job of covering up those stains and could be washed and ran through the cleaners again and again. White, on the other hand, it had to be boiled. Oftentimes collars were detachable because you would just simply go through so many and you had to maintain that pristine look. So white collar refers to office jobs, to work that basically just requires the mind. You don't get your hands dirty. And blue came to be known as blue collar, men that simply work with their hands and get dirty. Now let's talk hats and to a lesser extent, sunglasses. Why should you remove your sunglasses? Why should you remove your hat when you walk into somebody's house, when you're meeting somebody for the first time? This one's interesting. It actually goes back to the medieval ages in which it was punishable by death as a knight if you did not basically open up your visor, if you did not remove your helmet when you're in the presence of other knights, of royalty, because it was a sign of respect. It was to show that you were not hiding anything. And there were times that this was a really big deal, that you could be an assassin. They didn't know who you were. They wanted to be able to positively identify you, and it's a gesture of you being vulnerable. You saying, hey, this is who I am. You can see into my eyes. And to this day, we still want to see somebody's eyes to see, do we trust them? We want to see, are they hiding anything? So if you walk into somebody's home, if you are in a restaurant, this is why we have this tradition. Now, what about the bizarre rule of no brown in town or no white after Labor Day? Those are old school rules basically used to differentiate old money from new money. Going back to 1910, 1920s, 1930s, that time period when you had a lot of people who were basically disrupting things. They were making a lot of money. They're able to be at the same restaurants as people that have had wealth in their family for a long time. So these rules were really, they were just simply put there so that people could distinguish who was in the know and who wasn't. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing a live video tomorrow, Monday at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. I know it's pretty early California, about 5 a.m. for you guys, but over in Australia, 10 p.m., 8 p.m. in the Philippines, over in parts of India, it's got to be 5:30 p.m. over in Pakistan. We've got 6 p.m. Love my guys over in Bangladesh. I love you guys all over the world. That's why I'm doing this stuff. So for Ukraine, Russia, I think it's 3 p.m. Germany, UK, 1 to 2 p.m. Guys, I've got this set up and you can set up a reminder down in the description. I do these live videos because I want to engage with you guys. I want to get to know you better, and I want to thank you for supporting my channel here at RMRS. So what video to watch next? How about 10 outdated style and etiquette rules that you need to stop doing? Seriously, guys, you can take these things and throw them out the window.